While Congress tries to pass some kind of immigration reform bill, a new Fox News poll finds that 54% of Americans say they disapprove of President Trump's handling of immigration, while 51% say they disapprove of the president's border security policies. So for more on this, we're going to bring in the mayor of El Paso, Republican Margo. Mr. Mayor, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, Kristen. Happy to be here.
So, Mr. Mayor, as somebody who lives and works right on the border, what's your take on the president's border security policies and specifically the immigration proposal that he put forward just this week?
Well, I like Senator Graham's proposals. I mean, people don't realize we're dealing with a humanitarian, economic, and environmental crisis. We're overwhelmed, and it's all because of this William Wilberforce Anti-Trafficking Victims Protection Act of 2008, which was only designed for unaccompanied minors coming from Guatemala, Honduras, or El Salvador. And we morphed it into full families. And then court decision said you didn't just have to enter at a port of entry, you could enter anywhere along the border. And that's what's straining the CBP resources. It's killing us in El Paso. Well, we used to have, between October and January of this year, we had 2,000 a week released in El Paso. We're now averaging 6,600. I had 6,600 released last week.
Well,
the processing can't be handled.
Mr. Mayor, I want to dig into what you were talking about just now. I want to dig into the hard data just a little bit more. Take a look at these numbers right here. Over the last fiscal year to date, the El Paso border sector has seen a nearly 2,000% increase in family apprehensions and close to 400% increase in unaccompanied minors. I mean, can you put into words just how much of a crisis this has become for your community and your city?
Well, put those numbers in context for El Paso. It's 70,000 have come in since January of this year to date. You know, people don't understand that they are processed and then they're released once they have their ankle bracelets and their data. They're released to their sponsors. The problem is the processing. That's why we're overwhelmed on the processing. The Border Patrol just set up 2 soft-sided tents in one of our processing centers that cost our taxpayers for the next 4 months $36.9 million. People don't realize that this is not just a humanitarian crisis out of sight, out of mind. I mean, El Paso is the largest U.S. city on the Mexican border. We're at the intersection of 3 states, Chihuahua, New Mexico, and Texas. And we have a regional population of 2.5 million people. But we're the largest U.S. city on the Mexican border and the 19th in the nation. But the processing can't be handled. We have one NGO called the Annunciation House that handles them once they're released. They're usually only in El Paso 24 to 48 hours, and then they're sent off to wherever their sponsors are.
So, Mr. Mayor, to help some of your processing concerns, the Trump administration has been talking about moving some of these migrants to other cities. They've pushed back on that a little bit, saying they're only going to be moving them to a few select cities, not northern cities. But before they came out and really clarified that, the governor of Florida said, you know, I'm sorry, but our state and our communities simply can't accommodate this influx of migrants. So when you hear the governor of Florida saying something like that, how does that make you feel as somebody who has to deal with this crisis, whether you like it or not, day in and day out?
Well, it's a NIMBY action, but they don't understand, and when I say NIMBY, it's not in my backyard issue. They're not, the migrants don't stay there. They're processed there. They're usually leaving in 24 to 48 hours wherever their sponsors are throughout the United States. Some of them might be in Florida. Some of them may be in the Northeast, the Northwest, the Midwest. It doesn't matter. That's wherever their sponsors are. So it's a matter of processing, and what we're saying is the El Paso border sector is overwhelmed. CBP is doing a magnificent job as a law enforcement caring for people that they shouldn't. They're in a position of it's tenuous.
All right. Well, Mr. Mayor, we wish you and everybody in your community well. Thank you.
Thank you.